Frank McCourt was born on August 19th, 1930. His father was an alcoholic and didn't have work. He drank all their money away and abandoned his family. The three of his 7 children died of diseases. Frank himself almost died of typhoid fever when he was only 10. He quit school at 13 to do odd jobs and petty crime to feed himself, his mother, and his 3 brothers.
Even though we were poor, at the lowest level, below the lowest economic level, we were always excited. It was rich in the sense that we had a lot to look up to look forward to, a lot to aspire to, a lot to dream about. But in economic circumstances, it was desperate. It was Calcutta with rain. At least they're warm in Calcutta. But it was desperate because of certain things, ingredients like my father being an alcoholic, my mother having too many babies in too short a time, no work available in Ireland, and even then when my father did get a job, he drank the wages. Then there was the harsh kind of schooling we had, with schoolmasters who ruled with the stick, and then the overwhelming presence of the church, which imbued us with fear all the time. So it was fear, dampness, poverty, alcoholism, fear of the church, fear of the schoolmasters, fear in general.
He came back to the States to work odd jobs until he was drafted into the military at the onset of the Korean War. He was stationed in Germany, and when he returned, he went to college. Although he never went to high school, but was able to convince the admissions office of New York University to accept him. His childhood interest was language and storytelling, were fed by creative writing classes and his own reading. He wasn't ready to begin a career as a professional writer.
The last teacher I had was a man named O'Halloran, but he was the only one who offered words of encouragement, who told us we were distinct, unique individuals with a right to think for ourselves. And that was just before we left Leamy's National School. And he told me, "My boy, you are a literary genius." And you can imagine what I had to put up with the schoolyard, with all the other, McCourt, you're a literary genius, look at him, look at the literary genius. But it wasn't negative, it was just teasing. But they respected him, and they respected me for being picked out by Mr. O'Halloran.
After graduation, he went to teach in a New York public school. He taught there for 27 years, even though he spent most of his summer working on a novel on his youth in Ireland. After his teaching years of creative writing to young people, he decided to write his life story, Angela's Ashes. Sold over 4 million copies, has been published in 27 countries and 17 languages. His second book, Tis, picked up where Angela's Ashes left off. With his arrival in the States at 19, it shot to the top of the bestsellers list.
I didn't know Angela's Ashes would be successful. And if it hadn't sold the way it did, it hadn't brought me all these prizes and so on, I would have gone back to teaching. But the book would have been written, it would be on the bookshelves, it would have its Library of Congress catalogue number, and I would have been satisfied. I would have been profoundly satisfied, and I would have gone back to teaching, and that would have given me such satisfaction too. I'd stay there till I died. I'd be in front of the class someday talking about dangling participles, and I'd get an aneurysm and keel over, and they'd take me out feet first. A warrior, a pedagogical warrior.
After Frank McCourt turned 60, he stopped writing. In May 2009, it was announced that he was being treated for melanoma and that he was in remission, undergoing home chemotherapy. On July 19, 2009, he died from the cancer, with meningeal complications at the hospital in Manhattan.
I wish I could say again that I was like James Joyce, who worked things out, or Hemingway, who sculpted those sentences. For me, it was my method of writing that led me to it. Sitting with a notebook and a pen, writing on the right-hand page whatever story I wanted to tell, and making notes on the left-hand page about ideas coming to me for future reference. And I wrote 19 or 20 pages of Angela's Ashes, which is in the past tense, describing my mother and father coming to New York. And on the left page I wrote one day, I knew the next day I wanted to get to my earliest memories and start my story. And I wrote, I'm in a playground in Classen Avenue, Brooklyn, with my brother Malachi. He's 2, I'm 3, we're on the seesaw. He goes up, I go down. He goes up, I go down. I get off. And Malachy comes down, crashes, bites his tongue, and there's blood. That was my earliest memory. And the next day, I picked that up in the present tense with the perspective of the 3-year-old me. And it felt comfortable, and I continued that way. It was a glove that I put on.